detectives, and welcome to my video for May. I'm going to be talking about some of my favourite reads from the last month, but before I do, I've got something a bit special to show you, and that is a selection of my latest foreign editions of my books. I am so proud to have sold my books into 9 different languages, and over the last few weeks quite a few of them have started to come in. And behind me we have the Italian edition of the 3rd book, First Class Murder. I know it's purple, but it is the 3rd book, I promise. And the 4th book, Jolly Foul Play. The 1st and 2nd books have already been published in Italy, so we now have 4 books for Italian readers to enjoy. And then we have the French books of the 1st and 2nd there, and we have the Polish books 1 and 2 there. And finally, my very favourite foreign edition to date, I think, the Japanese edition of Murder Most and Ladylike. Look at that cover. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. Looks like a Studio Ghibli film, but very 1930s, very much my own book. I absolutely love it. I love all of these, and I love the fact that my books are getting into so many different languages. I do know that we have a lot more good news in terms of translations to come, which I can't tell you about yet, but there will be a lot more copies of a lot more editions of my books on the way. So that has been the real excitement for me, finally seeing all of those translated editions of my books in the flesh, in real life. Now I'm going to tell you a bit about some of the books I've really enjoyed reading this month. And the first book that I'm going to be talking about isn't a book, it's an entire series. And this series of books was first recommended to me by one of my most long-standing fans, Amy. She is a fantastic reader herself, and she loves giving me book recommendations. And she put me on to the Lockwood Co series by Jonathan Stroud. And as you can see, I liked it so much, the first book that she gave me, that I have now read all of them, and I have turned into the most massive fan. These books are about a world that's very much like ours, except that it has what they call the problem. And the problem is that the dead will not stay dead. They rise from their graves every night, ghosts float around everywhere, and ghosts end up killing a lot of people. They're very dangerous. Adults cannot see ghosts, the only people who can are children. So children have formed up into these really cool ghost fighting societies, and Lockwood Co is the smallest and the best in London. It is made up of 3 people. Lockwood, the main character, or he thinks he's the main character. He's a little bit like Daisy, I think. The narrator, Lucy, and the researcher, George. They are 3 best friends. They love eating cake, hanging out, teasing each other, and they also love saving the world from ghosts. These books are a fantastic mix of absolutely terrifying. They are genuinely really frightening, exciting ghost stories, so do not read at night. Very, very fun, quite funny, a really good story about a group of friends all hanging out together. And I know that I love seeing everything as murder mystery, but these are almost murder mysteries. I think that if you like the mystery, the danger, the frightening bits of my books, I think you will absolutely love these. I would say they're for about the same age range as my books. I would say they're about 8, 9 plus, depending on how scared you are. And the next book is one that I've been meaning to read for a very long time. Crongton Knights by Alex Wheatle won the Guardian Children's Fiction Prize in 2016. I have met Alex, he's fantastic, and I love the way he talks about his books. I've been really, really interested to actually finally read one and see what they're all about, and now that I have, this did not disappoint. This is the story of McKay, who sees himself as a sort of knight of the estate, and he goes on a quest with his friends to help one of them when she gets into trouble. And the quest goes, as all quests do in books, goes a little bit wrong, and McKay and his friends realise they have to stick together to save the day and save each other. I really enjoyed it. I think Alex has a really amazing ear for language. He writes so beautifully, and the Crongton estate and all the kids in it have such a wonderful presence. I would say that it's for about 12 plus, slightly older than my books. If you enjoy really great teen fiction, if you enjoy stories set in a contemporary world about a group of friends going on adventures together, you will really, really like this book. And next, I have another book about a group of friends at school trying to solve crimes, trying to save the day. and it is the first collection of the Bad Machinery comic by John Allison. John Allison is just incredibly funny. I was reading this and I was just crying with laughter all the way through. I can't really explain to you how much you will laugh until you've read this. There aren't enough comics, I think, about British kids. Most comics are about Americans, and I love that these kids really seem British, and these kids really do seem like the kind of kids that you would meet in a school that you would go to school with. They all go to the same school together, and they are all detectives, which makes me particularly like this series. It's two opposing groups of the detectives, the boys and the girls, and they're both trying to solve a very mysterious puzzle in this collection about what is going on with the local football team and their manager. I think you will also love it if you have a sense of humor, if you love school stories, if you love mysteries, and if you love comic books. I really, really recommend this. I would say it's for about 10 plus maybe. And finally, I always end with choosing a book from the classic shelf, a book that really inspired me growing up. And this month it is Misspent Disposition by Josephine Tey. Now, you've probably heard me talk about this before if you've ever heard me talk about my books. This is one of the books that truly inspired Murder Most Unladylike. It is set in an all-girls school and something goes horrifically wrong in the gym. Somebody gets murdered and Miss Pym, who is a visiting lecturer, has to solve it. If you read this, I think you will definitely see that I got a lot of my ideas for Murder Most Unladylike from this book. And I've been thinking about it a lot because this month I actually went back to my old school, Cheltenham Ladies College, and I did a talk there, and it really reminded me of where I got the idea from. It reminded me of thinking about Murder Most Unladylike for the very first time and imagining what would happen if at a girls' boarding school somebody murdered somebody else. This book does a lot of things that I don't think you're going to expect. It has twists and turns. It's actually at times very dark and scary. So I would recommend that you don't read it unless you're about 12 and up. But after that point, I think you absolutely should, because it is fantastic. It put me onto Josephine Tey for the first time, and I have now read all of her books, and I think she's one of the most underrated crime writers of all time. So that is pretty much it for me this month. It's been a really busy, really exciting month for me. I've gone on a lot of school visits. I've done a lot of really fun and amazing things that make me feel really proud and excited that my job is to be a writer. It's been so wonderful to meet all of you that I have met. And if you haven't met me yet, and if you would like to, then I have good news for you. Next month, I'm going to be launching my own newsletter on my website. If you sign up to it, if you put in your email address, I will be sending you a newsletter every month so you can find out what I'm up to. Before you sign up, do remember to tell an adult that you're doing it. But if you do sign up, there is something super special for you in the first month in the June newsletter, and that is that you will be allowed to vote on where you'd like me to visit this summer. The Guggenheim Mystery is out on the 3rd of August, and because of that, I'm going to be taking a bookshop tour of Britain. I'm going to be visiting as many places as I can, and as many of the places that you've been asking me to. I know you've been patiently waiting. I know that I haven't done that many public appearances this spring, and that is because I wanted to wait for this book so I could get out and about and meet you and talk about it a little bit more. So if you would like me to visit somewhere near you, go onto my website, sign up for my newsletter, and then when the newsletter comes in, vote for the location that's nearest you. So that is it, and I will see you in June. I hope you're having a really lovely spring. I hope you're enjoying the sunny weather that we've been having. I certainly have been. So thank you and goodbye.